This is the first video in a two-part series on the Mazzaroth. The terms Mazzaroth and Mazaloth are not Thoth speak. They come from the Hebrew mystery tradition. But Thoth has a lot to say about it. So let us proceed. This particular information that I will be reading to you comes from an article I wrote based on a Thothic transmission that I received at the time, and this was in 1997. We begin with what is generally understood on this topic esoterically. The zodiac itself is not in and of itself the Mazzaroth, but rather there are 12 threshold control points, one associated with each zodiacal sign that the Brotherhood of Light can use to modulate and govern consciousness factors in the worlds that fall under the auspices of the 12 signs of the zodiac. This is done to help those worlds in their evolutionary processes and return to source. There are 12 cycles of evolution for any planetary world under the influences of the Mazzarothic thresholds. There is an alpha beginning and omega end to the overall evolutionary trajectory for that world. These control points are set into the evolutionary divine plan for planetary worlds within the archetypal light imaging programmed into the 12 threshold control points of the Mazzaroth. The worlds of Mazzaroth exist within the lower heavens, the regions of the known zodiac. There are many higher light worlds which exist beyond the confines of the Mazzaroth in what Thoth refers to as the Mazaloth. Now, the Mazaloth is a term used in the Hebrew context, but he's referring to it in this way. There are many master beings working in behalf of the evolution of planet Earth under the hierarchical directives from even higher stations of light within the realm of Mazaloth. They serve as a sentient connection between the worlds of the higher heavens and the worlds of the lower heavens. According to Thoth, Earth's planetary consciousness currently falls into the lower heavens region and will be transported to experience within the higher heaven during the ascension of the planet. Thoth gives us a further definition of both Mazzaroth and Mazaloth. Thoth states, the Mazzaroth is the pattern of integrity which circumscribes the path of karmic resolution within the current geometric vehicle of the Earth's Merkaba. The Mazaloth is the unfolding of star fields into greater and greater thresholds of divine formation within this universe, which is accomplished through key manifolds maintained within the stars of the visible spectrum. Mazzaroth is the cosmic vehicle to transcend the dark space, while Mazaloth is the light foundation of the greater universe. According to this understanding which I received from Thoth intelligence, we are currently being called upon to prepare ourselves to receive the greater mantle of Christic consciousness through the efforts of the many beings who are assisting us from a higher evolutionary perspective. It is this greater spiritual power which is the key to being able to freely come and go from this dimension of reality for the greater work at hand and ultimately for the ascension. The actual passage to and from this dimension is accomplished through the application of this greater power to open the 12 time gates or thrones held within the 12 signs of the zodiac. And this is accomplished from the grids of energy that are in even higher dimensional experience than that of the Mazzaroth, and this is the Mazaloth. There is a direct correlation between the human, earthen, and stellar body programs, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 main meridians within the earth, and the human body are key focal points for the higher beings of light to bring all of these components into a true alignment in order that the ascension may truly occur. It is directly through the 12 crystalline channels of the earth that the human being can be reprogrammed via the higher and yet intermediary energy system of the Mazzaroth, to be able to assimilate the energy and consciousness changes taking place on earth, so that the human species can continue to evolve with the higher programs of light rather than perish. This is a direct act of grace and compassion towards humanity on the part of the higher beings of light. Even before the ascension of planet Earth, there will be children born who are already under the influence of the next major evolutionary cycle, the Mazaloth. They will become a powerful transformative force unto themselves as they pour forth the benefit of their spiritual gifts upon humanity, straight from the Father's kingdom. These children will be harbingers of the Christ, which will incarnate into every soul who has adequately spiritually prepared itself, and they will be especially helpful in reactivating the dormant seed, the latent set of codes within humanity's DNA memory, which holds the original patterns of light as their highest service to this world. The power of the higher evolutionary worlds is such that a variety of species forms can be generated biochemically through some very high meta-scientific principles, but that so long as these species forms are aligned to the divine matrix or the cosmic Christ, there exists a transcendence of the differences in forms and appearances through the unity that exists in God's greater kingdom. There is a direct correlation between the greater template the Mazzaroth represents and the redevelopment of the 12-strand DNA. Thoth tells us that the etheric counterpart for the 12-strand DNA will form, then the physical components will begin formation, and then finally humanity will begin to assimilate the consciousness it represents. Once this process is complete, the souls who have been a part of this greater process through proper spiritual preparation will be able to move into the more complex consciousness expression of the higher worlds of the Mazaloth. Thoth tells us that when the planet Earth goes through its ascension, it will leave the realm of Mazzaroth and enter the early stages of realizing the consciousness of the Mazaloth. The new Earth planetary consciousness will not fully realize the programs of light available in the realm of Mazaloth, however, until it completes the new cycle which begins with the ascension. Now, I believe that this new cycle is what Thoth calls Nu Mison. The Great Pyramid at Giza contains specific geometric and numeric encoding via its design measurements, which show the meta-scientific relationships between the 12 tribes of Israel and the Mazzaroth. The measurement proportions also represent the higher light mathematics involved in the unification of the 12 signs of the zodiac and their subsequent linkage to the greater cosmology of the higher worlds of the Mazaloth. Thoth indicates that within the Great Pyramid is a chamber which he calls the midden chamber. He says the midden chamber is quite small, much smaller than the king's and queen's chambers. This chamber manifests an energy dynamic referred to as the chamber of the sun, S-O-N, which is referred to in the Keys of Enoch, the Book of Knowledge by J.J. Hertog. The unification of the consciousness represented in the 12 signs of the zodiac and the subsequent linkage of that unified consciousness to the higher worlds of Mazaloth will occur when the tribe of Judah is astrophysically and vibrationally aligned with the Great Pyramid through the midden chamber. Judah actually represents a key geometric function, cosine, of the relationships between all the tribes or 12 zodiacal genetic paragenetic movements in the lesser heavens. There will be a specific astrophysical alignment at some point in the future whereby the angles and geometry of Judah will be aligned once again through the midden chamber in the Great Pyramid. The midden chamber works in resonance with the Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus is a portal through the Mazzaroth to access stellar coordinates of higher Christic consciousness. When the final alignment occurs, it will result in a major and final alignment of the Earth's consciousness to that of the Christ, which hails from the Mazaloth. The tribe of Judah holds the biological, geophysical, and higher intelligence codes necessary to the Christic infusion of the Earth. The paragenetic codes represented in the tribe of Judah are being held and expressed by a grouping of beings, both in the higher dimensions of reality and on Earth. Any being that is able to hold that specific consciousness frequency to a high enough degree is by default one of the paragenetic keepers for the tribe of Judah. However, there are specific interplanes orders that are also commissioned to be keepers of these paragenetic codes. It is through these groupings of beings that a way is being prepared for the new teachings, the scrolls of higher light, to reach this world from the higher heavens. This new expression of light and consciousness has already been seated within the old planetary realm in aeons long past. In other words, these higher consciousness codes were inherent in the creation in the first place, but we have become separated from them through the fall. Thoth teaches us that the Earth's original consciousness patterning was formed within the blue star Rigel in Orion. It is only after certain cosmic events had transpired that the Earth's newly birthed consciousness was relocated to the current solar system we know as home. This was the beginning of the lesser solar paradigm, the astronomy of our physical sun, which now the tribe of Judah opens the path of exodus out of and back to the Earth's home in the stars within the Orion system as part of the blue star Rigel's nest of planets. The lion will become a new archetypal symbol representative of the new patterning that the next or greater solar logos will embrace the earth within. So it is the Christ, the higher symbology of the lion, which ultimately will penetrate this old limited cosmology through the portal held by the tribe of Judah within the constellation of Leo, to bring us into an expression of the collective messiahship, a manifestation of the Christ within. This means that for those souls who endeavor spiritually to prepare themselves in accordance with the higher teachings brought to this world by Yeshua and other masters, the Christ will be rebirthed within them, that they may emulate the spiritual consciousness that the Christ came to demonstrate as our ultimate heritage. The universe is made of numerous different possible reality systems that are all part of the divine plan, the many mansions of the Father's kingdom. Once we have opened our hearts, minds, souls, and selves to the possibility that something much greater than we could have ever imagined exists, what we need to do then is truly understand and integrate the higher consciousness, which is the essence of that great reality. This will, in turn, allow us to move beyond the current fractured time continuum we are currently encapsulated within, to be able to experience other time continuums of reality, to interact and commune with other beings of light, the angelics, the archangelics, the masters of light, who are not limited to one time continuum themselves, but are able to freely move amongst the various continuum or mansions of the greater kingdom. This is the biochemical change that must occur so that our physical bodies, which are the host to our soul and spirit, must receive new DNA coatings to be able to operate in this multidimensional state of existence while we are still physically embodied. As it stands now, we are held under the limitations of the lesser solar paradigm, which has been the primary threshold for the genetic programs on Earth for some time. We as divinity in human form still contain the dominant genetic codes which were once prevalent on this planet before the fall. As we begin to awaken our minds to the higher levels of awareness, we start to reactivate these dormant genetic codes. And as they activate, they begin to start a process of biochemical change or mutation within our bodies, so that the physical form of our temple may be prepared to receive the second coming of the Christ within our very own hearts. The 12-fold genetic information inherent in the Mazzaroth is actually encoded into our physical forms and thus can be used to synchronize the greater mandates of spirit with the physical existence. The Mazzarothic thrones contain a significant portion of the divine blueprint for the ultimate expression of divinity in this type of a world system, and yet we must not only come to realization of that potential, we must go beyond that into the heart of the Christos, the Mazaloth, the cosmic Christ, the greater solar logos, the golden star of Mazuriel. The mental programming of humanity must be brought to a higher level of realization so that it can be given the astrophysical codes and keys which will allow man to move beyond the time continuum we are currently trapped within. These codes and keys are stellar in origin and encompass the realm of Mazaloth and beyond. The Brotherhood of Light acts as a transduction medium between the reality of worlds within the mandates of the Mazzaroth and those higher stellar worlds of Mazaloth. In this way, they can assist these lesser worlds in completion of their evolutionary cycles. The Elohim creator beings play an important role in this transduction process. They are overseeing the transmission of these higher level stellar light codes into the Mazzarothic worlds. They monitor and adjust the incoming light transmissions so that the creation moves through its critical evolutionary threshold as rapidly and smoothly as possible. Through the assistance of these beings and the angelics, it is possible for every soul who aligns themselves to the higher principle of grace to be reborn in spirit and to be embraced by the higher covenant. These higher beings are working to help free the souls of the earth from their stellar imprisonment. So great is their love of humanity that they have watched and waited through the history of the earth for the time when they could once again reach us, their brothers and sisters of the stars, and help us to find our way back to the greater light of the Christ, through which we may be given a virgin birth, a karmic absolution, a dispensation of grace from the throne of the eternal directly. The guardian of Mazzaroth is both the guardian and the messenger of the new Christed age, which Corrine Helene calls the New Galilee, when the present and future come together in the heart and mind of humanity. The true guardian of Mazzaroth is a Morphi, an etheric being of light created by the archangels of Sagittarius, the lords of spiritualized mind, to guardian the entrance portals between the Mazzaroth and the earth. Thus we see the spiritualized higher mind of the hierarchy of Sagittarius as being the consciousness which animates the guardian, setting its spiritual presence in attendance for the preservation of the Mazzarothic thresholds. Sagittarius is a sign of transition and has transmutation as a keynote. As this sign sits between the dragon power of Scorpio and the Christed sun of Capricorn, it represents the power center for the great work. The biblical keynote for Sagittarius is quoted from St. Paul. "Let this mind be in you, which was also in the Christ Jesus." In other words, the reference is to the highly spiritualized mind which Sagittarius holds for the planet as a hierarchical presence and which the Christed Jesus exemplified. The guardian of Mazzaroth is ultimately a symbol of guardianship over the sacred alchemical union or mystic marriage of the two primary forces outpictured in the male and female polarities of the earth. It is therefore also a symbol of the Christic Lion of God, the righteous warrior aspect of the soul that rises up to preserve the seed of spiritual purity in humanity, which can only be redeemed through the balance of power being restored and maintained between the two pillars, male and female, of the temple. This concludes the actual material on defining the Mazzaroth that was given to me in 1997, the transmission which I then placed into this article. From the perspective of January in 2024, we can see the power of it, what it means to us now, in the process at hand. We are now in the last stages before we enter the transformational period that is going to be profound, dynamic, and challenging. We think, well, it's already that, but no, we really are just on the threshold of it. There's much more to come. And I don't state that to be dire and negative. It's just a fact. And yet, as Thoth has said, we have the power. We were born with the power to complete this mission, not only for ourselves and our souls, but for the whole planetary realm and the uplifting of the planetary genius from a world system 1 to a world system 2. It is for this purpose that we were incarnated through all these ages of time on this planet. In the second part of this two-part series, we will be exploring the Mazzarothic mystery schools, according to Thoth. These schools will play an important role in our education for the future destiny of mankind as we work with them on the inner. So this concludes the first video in this series.